They might be the first team who will lift the Champions League trophy and go down.
We
Like,
know because we were talking about our own relegation last season. So
can Spurs go down? Is that a real possibility? Though theoretically वो हो सकता है, practically भी शायद होगा, not in a banter way or something, but I think they are genuinely in a danger zone right now because we are in a business end of our season, and after the disaster league finish last year while winning the European trophy, and there is no progress.
yeah, definitely. I think right now, looking at form as well, I think they are looking as the most likely to go down because since January they've been the worst team in the Premier League, which is very surprising. Because till about November they were in and around the top four. They were fifth at the end of November, and then
Hmm?
suddenly like they have completely spiraled down. And I think in the last 9 or 10 games they've managed to win none as far as I know, because I think they've got only 4 points in the last 9 games, which is pretty bad. They've already had two managerial changes,
Yeah.
so I don't know what happens to them now.
I think they are in a spiral of the morale being down, the run momentum nahi hai, and it's just like a case of a new manager coming in but not being able to grasp anything as of the dressing room. So things are not looking good for.
If we look at the table, okay, Spurs currently 16th है, लास्ट 5 गेम लगातार हार चुके हैं, उनके नीचे नॉटिंघम है, उनके नीचे वेस्ट हैम है, ओके, एंड नॉटिंघम एंड वेस्ट हैम आर ऑन 28 पॉइंट्स, स्पर्स इज ऑन 29 पॉइंट्स, एंड स्पर्स स्टिल हैव टू प्ले against Liverpool or कोई बड़ा team if I'm not wrong. On the top of that, Spurs is also going to play against Atletico Madrid इन चैंपियंस लीग, एंड वो फटीक दिख जाएगा एक टाइम के बाद, 2 लेग खेलने के बाद, बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव मेनी players on your bench. They have players who are constantly getting injured, and players who are constantly getting red cards, stupid red cards. So काफी players mentally check out हो चुके हैं. They are not listening to the manager's instruction. Clear example of Mickey Van de
Van
Ven,
de Ven.
how he was ignoring the new manager's instructions. It's bleak. It's bleak. The future is bleak for Spurs, at least for me, because if they go down, I mean, it will be obviously crazy season for Arsenal, Chelsea, for everyone. But in the history of modern football, कुछ साल पहले वो Champions League खेले हैं और कुछ सालों बाद they are on the verge of getting
Yeah.
relegation. So
By
it's crazy
Europa
times.
champions.
Exactly. They are the current cup holders. Correct.
Yeah, and also I was reading, I think in BBC or somewhere, that in the history of the Premier League, no club which has ever made like more than 200 million pounds of annual revenue has ever been relegated. So,
Oh,
by that logic, Spurs getting relegated would be perhaps the biggest relegation in the history of the Premier League that we've seen. My sort of other concern with Spurs is that when there are clubs in this sort of a crisis, you have certain players you look at and you are like that he has the personality or the mentality to sort of rise up and pull them out of this, right?
mm-hmm.
uh, for a long time they had Harry Kane who was able to do that, although they were also performing well when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
Last season when they were struggling, I felt like Son was that kind of a character, right? Where the entire club rallied behind Son and was like, "Okay, okay, let's win a trophy for Son because this could be his farewell and all." This season, I don't look at their squad sheet and I don't see like one player who I'm like, "Okay, oh, this guy has like the aura to pull them out of a relegation battle." Most of the squad looks like very timid right now.
Yeah.
And it of course doesn't help when you have like a captain Romero who himself has been so uh
Yeah.
inconsistent across. So it's like him being the captain is basically summation of how Spurs as a team is going about.
Do you guys think Spurs should have sacked Thomas Frank by the end of Christmas or by the end of December? I think it was a great appointment at the start of the season. Very gutsy, very different appointment, very tactically acute manager. And he was praised also during the preseason. There were lots of articles when United had Amorim. You should have gone for the Premier League proven managers. And this, if you look at Spurs, they have done a great job by recruiting Thomas Frank, blah blah blah. Cut to उसका disaster form आ गया है, and they recruited with good player. It's not like कि they have recruited कि
Hmm.
कुछ भी किसी को भी उठा के लाए. They were good players. Player like Xavi Simmons, who rejected Chelsea
Yeah.
and came to Spurs, he was in hot form. He was one of the hot properties last season. So it's not like that they have recruited bad. But what happened? I think personally the change should have happened sooner than later.
I mean, take Thomas Frank, whatever you say. I don't want to judge him on like 4 5 months of work, right? But towards the end, at least, he looked completely out of its depth. Even like in the kind of quotes he was giving out to the press, and also like all the sort of memes and commentary around what he thought about Arsenal and how much he loved Arsenal, and then
Yeah.
Spurs also having a Arsenal CEO. All that didn't help him. I feel like more than Thomas Frank, I felt like sacking Ange Postecoglou itself was the bigger decision, which like
Hmm. Hmm.
manager wins a big trophy for the first time in like 15 years of your history, and you sack him, and then I don't know. So I don't want to judge Frank on the appointment, but I feel like the sacking of the previous manager itself was a problem.
I'm also not too sure about Postecoglou because if you look at an example close to us only, टेन हैग वाला सिचुएशन था कि भाई एफए कप जिता दिया उसको एक्सटेंशन मिल गया एंड देन इट इवेंचुअली डिड नॉट वर्क आउट could have been that way if Spurs babies, but I feel the leadership is not just limited to squad. I think the entire वो जो उनका setup है उसमें भी you do not have like a structure in the club which
Hmm.
will definitely pull through because I think Pele, I'm not too sure, but Daniel Levy also used to take care of all of that stuff. But now with his departure, things have like gotten because they have got a very good base. They've got like a good stadium. They've financed pretty well. It's just that they've spent things in a very wrong manner, and investments have not also given a return. So that patch has also been something that they are currently seeing. But yeah, I think it's a leadership crisis throughout, and there is a good chance that this might become something big.
Yeah, the financial costs of a relegation are crazy because I think they are set to lose like around 250 to 300 million of revenue just by losing out on being in the Premier League alone. Or फिर उसके बाद obviously when you look at like match day tickets and the kind of revenue loss that will happen, there is a lot of sort of analysis out there, especially from like Kieran Maguire and Price of Football type of people who are saying that actually Spurs as a club right now are simply just not built to be playing in the championship because like look at their stadium. That stadium has like
Yeah.
upkeep costs. You can't keep maintain a stadium of that quality while also earning like championship money, right? And obviously
Yeah.
ticket prices and all will also have to be fixed. So it's like crazy. There is no precedent for a club of that size getting relegated. It's crazy.
Speaking of Spurs fixtures, let's look at this list. Okay. They will play Atletico Madrid, they will play Liverpool, then they will play Atletico Madrid again, then they will play Nottingham. Okay, that will be one of the interesting match. But they still have to go to Wolves away, Sunderland away, Aston Villa away, Chelsea away, Everton home. This is going to be a chaos and headache at the business end of the season for Spurs. And I would like to give slight upper hand to Nottingham and West Ham because those players are fighting for that badge. You look at the recent results, how Murillo saved that shot from Manchester City player from that goal line, and you see that hunger in Nottingham Forest. I think I will give slight benefit of doubt to both the clubs above Spurs.
Yeah, for sure. And another aspect of that relegation race that you talked about is that the two clubs you mentioned are both used to being in that position. So they've been in relegation battles or slash races before, right?
Hmm.
And Spurs simply hasn't been there. So you don't even know if as a club they have the capability to cope with a relegation battle because it is a very like a draining, difficult thing to do. So definitely the tide is against them.
And also the fixture list is all not something that is confidence infused. So if I look at the entire fixtures like where तूने जैसे बताया उसमें से एक तो comparables कौन है Nottingham है maybe let's say Everton and Wolves and we know Nottingham will do anything to get that. Everton are in a good form.
Yeah,
And also Wolverhampton have been in a really brilliant
giant
form
killer.
right now.
They have
So
become
हाँ,
giant killer lately.
yeah. So in it, I mean, I would to suggest that Wolverhampton के साथ भी it's going to be as big of a fixture as with Liverpool and Chelsea, given how things are going currently. So things are not like it, there's no psychological advantage that even the squad members will be able to think कि ये fixture लेके मेरे को चलो I might just get some momentum. So yeah, I you need tough minds right now and tough personalities, and they need this is the time to show.
To conclude today's discussion, if you look at three managers, okay, let's look at Igor Tudor, let's look at Nottingham Forest manager Vitor Pereira, and let's look at West Ham's manager, who's Nuno Espirito Santos. Nuno Espirito Santos is the most experienced manager in terms of playing the relegation because he used to manage Wolves, he used to manage Nottingham Forest, so he knows what the mentality should be from top to bottom if you want to survive. Speaking of the other two managers, I don't see any body language that could, possess those players with passion and everything. And if you look at the Spurs, like we spoke, manager के instructions follow ही नहीं हो रहे. तो ये appointment ही एक मुझे question mark लग रहा है. If they wanted to hire someone who can fight the relegation, they could have gone for manager like Sean Dyche or something like that. You know, who's more experienced. But Igor Tudor, I'm genuinely feeling bad for him right now.
No fault of his own, yeah, because
Hmm.
uh, if it was an Italian league or a Spanish league, I would still be like he'll be able to pull it off. But it after seeing especially that Arsenal game, I was like, this guy doesn't seem to have a clue of what's happening in the
Yeah.
Premier League, and it's
Yeah.
not his fault. Half of his players are also not available. With Nottingham, also it's crazy because Nottingham ka manager currently is the same manager who actually landed Wolves in the position they are, right? So,
Yes.
so he pretty much puts like Wolves on the doorstep of relegation, and then he's hired to save Nottingham, whatever. So I think Nottingham could go down, but yeah, West Ham definitely with Nuno. He's a gritty manager, defensive minded. He also has certain like leader players, which I feel are like I mentioned important in relegation battle. Jared Bowen types.
Hmm.
So yeah, I personally feel they are more likely, and I don't see like Igor Tudor का शक्ल देख के ऐसा लगता नहीं कि ये relegation से बचा पाएगा.
Hmm.
I think मतलब from what I was also reading up, Robbie Keane is one of the favorites, or maybe it's at least the rumors are such that he might be leading in as one of those interim managers. And Spurs are also supposedly in talks with Roberto De Zerbi, but I just feel that what if they drop into the championship? Then they will have to redo everything because a lot of those top managers will not be available or will not choose to go to a championship team. Although
Hmm.
Spurs might be the biggest team over there. So, they've got a lot of work to do. बट फर्स्टली एकदम प्रायोरिटी पे अगर हाथ पैर मार के रॉबी की आके भी अगर ये प्रीमियरशिप निकल जाता है ठीक है 17th भी आ जाते हैं तो आई थिंक दैट शुड बी द रियलिस्टिक थिंग
If there are reports of him getting sacked, then yeah, maybe desperation will force them to do it. Roy
And
Keane had made a good point ke they are in the Champions League knockouts, so it is not like there is absolutely nothing to play for. They should have gotten a manager who could be seen as like a permanent figure rather than a caretaker.
they might be the first team who will lift the Champions League trophy and go down. See, one important thing that nobody is realizing right now, मैंने कहीं पे ये पढ़ा था, if बड़ी टीम चली जाती है छोटे डिवीजन में तो उनका उधर से बाहर निकलना मुश्किल हो जाएगा. I'll tell you why, because every good player will want to move and they don't have great players at first place. If they don't have any experience, I don't know how will they come back if they go down.
And also
And
like why like to add to that, the चैंपियनशिप इज अ क्रेजी बीस्ट क्योंकि बहुत ज्यादा मैचेस होते हैं कंपेयर्ड टू द प्रीमियर लीग एंड द इंटेंसिटी इज अ लॉट मोर सो इट्स अ
Correct,
वेरी डिफरेंट एनवायरनमेंट देयर वी
correct,
नो
correct.
बिकॉज वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट आवर ओन relegation last season so we've done this chat before.
Oh my.
On that note, we can conclude this topic. Final prediction for me, I think Spurs बच जाएगा कहीं ना कहीं से.
Spurs बचना भी चाहिए.
Hmm.
Not for the Premier League. I mean, they are a huge club. It will be a huge loss to the Premier League also.
Thank you guys. That was it. That was our small debate on can Spurs go down. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and we will see you guys very soon. Thank you.